me. Who's anyone watching it with me? What I miss? I don't recognize anyone on the leaderboard. I'm like I wouldn't say I'm a casual, whatever a notch more. I'm an intermediate golf fan, not a casual golf fan, intermediate. YouTube, what's going on? She popped back live over there after being frozen, watching the little PGA champ live on TikTok too. For a weekly scheduled noon Thursday Pacific time live. I go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, noon Pacific. Trying to build this now because come football season, these lives will be popping. Get some game previews. I'm gonna treat it. I don't want to treat it like a radio show because you can go listen to radio if you want a radio show, but it'll be just off the cuff. Maybe bring in some guests. It'll be fun. But last year, pick wise, I netted out like 65% against the spread, which I was very proud of that. I was stoked on that. I won my little pick'em league. That's getting it done against the spread, not money line, against the spread. The more I say that though, the more I'm going to jinx it this year. Camera Grammar, appreciate you, my guy. Says I'm still his QB. Fight on, dude. Thoughts on Carson Wentz signing with the Saints? I missed that. I got to be honest. Did that go down this morning? I missed that. I haven't really been on Twitter this morning. If not, maybe it happened days ago, and I got to be out of loop. Dude, I kind of feel bad for Carson Wentz, man. Dude was literally the MVP. You could literally make the argument he was the best quarterback in the NFL, had the injury and never recovered. I feel like, now in sports, we get used to injury, like athletes just recovering. Oh, KD and his Achilles. Oh, he'll be back. Jason Tatum, like it's not a given. It's not a given. We saw it with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is not the same quarterback. I know he was older, don't get me wrong, but kind of feel bad for Carson Wentz. There was that one interview clip around the Super Bowl. Hey, I respect the hell out of Carson Wentz's Super Bowl interview where they were like, some question along the lines of like, will you be back for the commemorative season for the Eagles? And they like honor that Super Bowl. And I forget exactly what he said about that, but he basically was like, yeah, look back and it's kind of a bummer. Like, yeah, we won the Super Bowl, but I wish I was playing. I respect that, man. I respect that. That's kind of how I answer when people ask me about the 2016 season. Like, I'm hyped for my teammates that won a Rose Bowl. I don't got a Rose Bowl ring. I left the team, had to leave the team 3 weeks early to transfer to Pitt. Still trying to get that Rose Bowl ring, man. But like, if you're a true competitor, the whole like go team go, yeah, I just got benched, but like, go team go, that ain't me, man. I'm not going to be like a cancer person at all. There's a fine line. You can still, go about your business and be a pro. But it's never teach their own, but I've never understood when guys get like benched and then they're like rah rah on the side. Like, hey, maybe this is, oh, wow. Sorry, a little PGA champ, crazy ball off a rock. Like when Jalen Hurts got benched for Tua, this might be a hot take, but then when he's like vibing on the sideline, I guess he's in a national championship game. Everyone wants a national title game. He knows it's just one half, so maybe I'm off base here, but like, I don't want my quarterback being that way. I don't want to be a cancer on the sideline, but like the whole rah rah, I don't know. That's not how I'm wired. It literally happened too. Funny enough, when I got benched for Sam Darnold, I saw him because we were like, cool. We went to a party after one of the games, and he was like, I know the deal. Like, I took your job. You're trying to take it back. We can still be cool here, but like the whole like, oh yay, like really like that ain't real life for me, and we both understood that. Let me get into some questions. But Speed Flex or Revo Speed? Dude, I forget which one's which. That's actually a good question. He's asking about helmets. Speed Flex or Revo Speed? I'm looking it up. I forget which was which. Speed Flex. Did I wear a Speed Flex? I did. I did. I forgot about that. Dude, Revo Speed. Revo Speed. I'm gonna get the helmets right here. All right, one sec. Speed Flex. Revo Speed. I remember when this came out when I was like a freshman in high school. Let me make sure I'm still showing. This came out when I was a freshman in high school. This is actually like a gimmick one. Um, but I thought it looked so goofy. I thought it was so chunky in the back. Like when it would hang off the back, I was like, dude, they look like Halo video game characters. And then as time went on, we like got used to this. And then this was the cool one. This was tried and true. This one was like way bigger. I remember being like, yo, this is like way more heavy on my head, but I have a huge ass forehead. Um, so this sat lower. So final answer, this guy. This one's better. Can Indiana with Fernando Mendoza get back to the playoff? Is he an NFL guy in your opinion? Funny enough, I called Fernando Mendoza's first start. In fact, I was probably the first non-Cal member to know that he was starting because like they didn't announce it. It was like he was the third stringer, and then they brought him out. Oregon State. What was that? 2023. Fernando Mendoza is a good quarterback. You should be excited if you're Indiana. It would not surprise me if he can play at a Curtis Rourke level, but I do not think he's an NFL quarterback yet. I don't think he's as polished of a passer. I think he can escape the pocket just a little too quick. I think he's got a full step to take to get to an NFL quarterback. The Revo Speed with the gold flaked face mask is so sick. Is that this? No. You talking USC? You're talking USC. What I think the gold spec face mask for that one time we had the what was that phase in 2014, 2015 with the shiny helmets, was it chrome helmets? Those were kind of sick too. Put that thing away. Put that thing away. Put what thing away? Did you ever talk to Kate Saban coming out of high school? Yeah, that's one of my best recruiting stories. I was sitting in art class, first period, Skyline High School, drawing whatever painting I was drawing, and then my high school coach like stormed through the door, and he would do that semi often because coaches would visit, and I'd get pulled out of class, and the teachers just kind of like knew the deal, which was kind of cool. Also, kind of funny. My high school homies would play jokes on that, like, "Oh, we got to take Max out of class," kind of thing, and then the poor substitute teachers would not know what's going on. Anyways, pulled me out of art class. Said, "I got someone who wants to talk to you." He didn't tell me it was Saban, which was kind of funny. I feel like, "Yo, give me some heads up." But pulled me out of art class. Nick Saban on the phone. They offered me on signing day my junior year. Was just chatting with them in the cafeteria table of my high school as people walked by, just chilling, talking to the greatest college football coach of all time. Crazy. Did I just hear someone say Curtis Rourke? Yeah, we're talking about Fernando Mendoza. What we got going over on YouTube? Noah, what's going on? You retracted your message. Sorry, dude. Zach Patterson, what's up, dude? What up, dude? Is Sac State going to the Pac-12? What's the future of the Pac? And hearing rumblings of that. I don't know. I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah, did I hear about the Caleb Williams news? I did. I opened up Instagram just before this. Why is that coming out now? The whole Vikings thing. That's weird. But like, it's weird to say the whole. So for those that don't know, Caleb Williams, at least from what I saw, was trying to make moves to not get drafted by the Browns last year. Was looking to go to the UFL. His dad was saying we don't want to go to the Browns, and then Caleb was saying he wants to go to the Vikings. Funny because the Vikings are obviously the rival of the Bears. But like, why is that coming out now? That just seems like bad ball, like all around. Like, give it a break, right? Chicago fans are probably not stoked on that. Big year for Caleb Williams too, though. Hey man, been loving your videos. Appreciate you, Zach. Came out with another one today. For all you guys hanging, came out with a big Lee Corso video. I think it's really cool. Even if you're just like a college football neutral fan, not a hardo, I still think you'll like it. Uh, Tribute to Lee Corso. I looked back at like the landmark moments of his career, like first time he put on headgear, first time they did a show on the road, and then I correlated that to like how college football has changed over time. It's a really good video. It's not performing on YouTube, so we might need to pivot some strategy there. But go check it out. If you're on TikTok, it's linked in my stories right now. My Viking would be a top 3 team with Caleb and Super Bowl contenders easily. Probably right. How do you feel about JJ McCarthy? Those of you guys that have been hanging on my lives every week, you know where I stand with JJ McCarthy. What are Vikings fans feeling like? Is it just a trust Kevin O'Connell and Kevin O'Connell we trust? Caleb Williams' rookie year, though, man. Like, you think JJ McCarthy will be just as good as Caleb Williams' rookie year? I mean, Caleb just had no offensive line help, so I don't wish that upon any poor young quarterback. Lord Jimbo, good to see you back, man. Actually, don't. Yeah. Hey, question: would you be willing to break down someone else's video? There's a creator called Money. Understand QBs. He disagreed with you on Chuck. Um, so funny enough, I'm coming out with a video on Tyler Shuck on Tuesday. So Lord Jimbo, check that out. Full breakdown on Tyler Shuck. I worked for the Pac-12 networks. I remember when Tyler Shuck had his first start the COVID year. I remember him kind of being, kicked to the curb by Oregon in general. Maybe that's a little extreme, but goes to Texas Tech. And then I was in ACC country every single weekend this year, and no one was really talking about Tyler Shuck. So the intrigue to me is like, how does that happen? And then 6 months later, he's a second round pick. 5 months later, he's a second round pick. Like, that is crazy. Like, even a guy like a Blake Bortles or a Paxton Lynch who like didn't play at big time programs, like you were still talking about him in the fall. Tyler Shuck, that whole story is just wild to me. But I looked at the film. I watched 5 different games, 3 from this past year, and then I watched his first start at Oregon to kind of like see the evolution of it all. And dude, his film last year at Louisville is really, really good. But I still have the same concerns. Like, you can see how his processing speed sped up every single year he was in college. But like, I would hope so. If you're a 7th-year quarterback, I would hope your processing speed gets to that point. Imagine if Cam Ward or Shador Sanders or even Quinn Ewers or Carson Beck, imagine if those guys had 7 years. So yes, he deserves credit. But to me, it's a little bit of a concern if it took you so long to warm up. And I know he had injuries and all that, but he's also never played with the scrutiny that Cam Ward or Shador Sanders or Kyle McCord or Jalen Milroe. He's never played with that scrutiny. That to me is not insignificant. So I was still surprised by the Shuck pick, but I get it if you just watch the film. And honestly, it's a good example of you never know what's going on in these meetings. Like maybe Tyler Shuck is like the absolute homie, and then you look at it and he's like, man, I can see this guy leading my franchise, and this guy's a dude. And hey, he had a raw deal in 2020 with the COVID year, had 3 different injuries that were all bone related, which not that I'm a doctor, but that's not insignificant. Ligaments, more sketchy. Bone, I feel like is more kind of freak stuff. So it'll be interesting. It'll be his show this year, right? I think he'll probably win the job. Zach Smith, I heard Jalen's in contention for the starting job in Seattle. I'm a Seahawks guy. To me, that's just as like I feel like we're to me, my first reaction is like that's clickbait. Like what can you really tell from one mini camp? I mean, yeah, I think it's Sam Darnold's show. I think Jalen Milroe should have gone back to school. I think he has a long ways to go as a pocket passer. Not to say that he can't be a starter at some point, but he is not a week one starting guy. I would bet the house that Jalen Milroe does not start week one. NFL legend Max Brown. Sorry, I never played in the league. Never played in the league. Thoughts on the UFL? I just came out with a video on Luis Perez, man. Check it out on YouTube about his story. One of the coolest quarterback stories out there. To be honest, I don't follow it that much, but I got a lot of teammates on his his team. Janae Harris, Tyler Vaughns, Deontay Burnett, all good dudes. James Bryant, what's up, man? Good to see you again. What's your favorite NFL season ever? I do not have an answer for you there. Probably one when I was a child. When I was a kid. There's a cool guy who's scrolling past on YouTube. It's on my save for watch later list or whatever. He breaks down entire seasons of NFL football in 20 minutes. So it's like just long enough to get a true taste of what he's talking about, but quick enough where you can like really rip through things. Maybe watching one of his vids will help out. Jimbo, what up? Small creator, highly opinionated, but a ton of data. I'd be interested to see a collab. All right, I'll check him out. I'll check him out. Always down to collab with YouTubers out there. Yeah, man. If you're hanging on TikTok, check out my YouTube content. Over the past few months, been posting long form stuff. Hasn't taken off yet. Need you guys to help me out there, but it's good stuff. You like my short form stuff? It's good. I think it's good. I guess the numbers will speak for itself eventually. Thoughts on Cal tight end Jack Endries to Texas, Mackey contender? I remember the name. I've definitely called a few of his games. I remember his name being on my board. I don't remember him being an impact player though, so I got nothing there. I got nothing. Opinion on Trevor Lawrence feels like it's a fork in the road year for him. Like he either needs to make something happen this year, or the chatter could come out. I feel like if he stays in this like middling zone where like you can see the upside, you get excited about the upside, but upside's exactly that. It's not real. But then maybe you get into a conversation of, do you go a different direction? But I think he's good. I just think I get a sense he just needs to like get command around a system, settle in, not be asked to just be everything for a team, surround him with pieces, let him just play point guard and go and go that route to have success. I view Trevor Lawrence and dude Kyler Murray out there. Like, I don't know how long the Cardinals can sit in this we're a below average team mold. And then eventually you start looking at your head coach change, your coordinator change, or your quarterback change. And Kyler Murray can play. My point there, though, is like, again, in the NFL, you can only stay in below average tier for so long, for so many seasons. And is there a team out there that would potentially deal for Kyler Murray? And then the Cardinals are incentivized to hit the reset button as well. I'm not a Cardinals guy. I don't keep up with the Cardinals beat, but from afar, like a Trevor Lawrence, Kyler Murray, who else is in that bucket for me? Tua to some degree. I know Tua's been paid, but some degree there. Like if Tua totally tanked this year, could the conversation around the Dolphins quarterback situation be different? I know a lot of people like Quinn Ewers potentially getting a real shot there. Those types of scenarios are interesting for me. Brendan Folds, who's been a big influence on your content creator journey, I'm assuming. Love this. First and foremost, my wife. My wife crushes it. She crushes it on all platforms, and we're always like brainstorming content ideas. Even though she's not like a football person, she's got a way bigger platform than me. What 10, almost 20x bigger than me. So I appreciate you guys holding it down for me, trying to catch up. She's number one for sure. My first job after I hung up the cleats playing football was working for Gary Vaynerchuk. So I was on his personal content team, and he's top 10 most influential content creators in the world. I think that's right. I don't think that's a stretch. And I saw behind the lens of how he operated. I was a channel manager on his team, so like I managed and worked with videographers. I handled a lot of his YouTube. I handled a lot of his ads. So I know more like the paid media side. He's a big one. I've been watching a lot. I hope he might be on right now. He follows my stuff every once in a while. Some of those guys are on. But Caleb Ralston, who is Gary's lead videographer, I've been watching some of his content. He's starting to post content on YouTube. YouTube, if you're a content guy, Brendan, type in Caleb Ralston, Ralston. He's got some elite stuff. And then all the other kind of, I'm watching all the like Alex Hermosi's and whatnot. But my wife and Gary are probably the two biggest impacts. Greg Barton and the hook and curl. What is that reference? Is that a throwback to the quarterback training days? Brendan, I appreciate you, man. We're trying to grow the YouTube long form. Short form, we're rocking and rolling, man. We're rocking and rolling on YouTube short, but trying to catch up to the YouTube long form. I love making those videos too. It's fun click and post over there. Wolf HD on YouTube asks, "What's your favorite?" Oh wait, sorry. What's your favorite story from both Pitt and USC? Whew. Um, my favorite story. That's a good story. I got a good USC story. It's not my favorite story, but there's not a ton of you guys here, so a little intimate group here. So you know the story about when Lane Kiffin got fired on the tarmac? Like technically he got fired in the or at least publicly he got fired in the little side house at the airport at LAX, or like the aviation and pilots hang out or whatever. That's my understanding. Is he went in there with Pat Hayden, but when you get on the bus, we're flying back from Tempe, Arizona State. Kevin sits in the last seat on the plane, and I was a freshman quarterback, third string guy, sitting closer to the front, like me and some of like my walk on buddies and whatnot. So we're a good, 40, 50 rows away from Kiffin. And we had lost, probably bad ball, but we were kind of like messing around at the seat, and they gave us like snack goodie bags to go, and a Cliff Bar was in one of them, and so one of my buddies like messing around like molded the Cliff Bar to make it look like a huge poop, and they put it on my shoulder, or like maybe it was my headrest or my shoulder. And then Kiffin walked from the back to the front of the plane, which anyone who played college football, like that never happens. The head coach, they sit in the back and like they stay in the back and they deplane off the back. Like there's no reason for them to come on the front of the plane. But he was walking to the front of the plane. You know who sits in the front of the plane? Our athletic director. At the time, it was Pat Hayden. So I don't know this to be true, but me connecting the dots, Kiffin was walking to the front of the plane with to meet with Pat Hayden. The reason I bring up the Cliff Bar poop point is when he was walking by, the like Cliff Bar poop moment with my friends laughing around me after we lost the game, which again is bad ball by me, but still, we were 18 years old. He like gave us a glare, and I think he gave us a glare on his way to getting fired. Or check that, may not getting fired, but on his way to chat with Pat Hayden, and maybe Pat Hayden said, "Hey, don't get on the team bus after, but let's meet in the little side house moment." So looking back, given that story 12 years later is still talked about in college football circles, I have a unique lens with my practical joke Cliff Bar poop thing. Maybe that's a good story for you. Pitt? It's a good story at Pitt. Nothing's coming to mind. Good Pitt story. When I was on my official visit, Kenny Pickett was on my official visit the same weekend. I was I was the oldest guy there on the official visit because I was a grad transfer. Ooh, Chippin from the guy that wears the gloves, Ray. But on my official visit, I bought my own beer for my official visit because I was over 21 and everyone else was like young. So it was the first time I ever had a Yingling. Shout out Pittsburgh. Coolest player you've golfed with. Coolest player you've golfed with. I golfed Oakmont last Monday, 2 Mondays ago for their Creator Day, which was sick. Got some videos coming out for that on US Open Week. Check that out. There were some huge creators there. For those of you guys in the YouTube golf community, I was in the same grouping as Claire Hogel. She's the homie. It's fun golfing with her. Yeah, it'll be sweet. Trying to break 90. It's going to be the thesis of the video. Can I break 90? I'm 11 handicap. The best golfer I've ever golfed with is my brother-in-law. He golfed at UCLA with Jake Knapp and Patrick Cantlay. He's an absolute stick. So he's the best golfer I've ever played with. So that'll be my answer. He's the coolest golfer. There we go. Lane Kiffin, was he ever anything in the NFL? Don't know if you follow him too much, but how do you feel about Max Brosmer, Gophers QB last year? Saw a bit of his film. I haven't dove in a ton. My first reaction is he's very clean. Like he's not going to be like anything spectacular, but very clean. I need to dive deeper though. On that note, too, got a bunch of cool down YouTube long forms next week. I got Tyler Shuck on Tuesday, diving through how he's evolved as a quarterback from his first start. I'll break down the film at Oregon versus Stanford in 2020, all the way through one of his last starts, Pitt, this past year, and how his game has evolved and how the heck he became a second-round draft pick, kind of out of nowhere. And I got Jalen Milroe, how the Seahawks can use Jalen Milroe even if he doesn't start, a la the Taysom Hill package. No reason Jalen Milroe can't be Taysom Hill for the Seahawks this year in the red zone and on goal line. You go 3rd and 5 in the red zone, fringe red zone, put the offense in empty. Jalen Milroe can make an impact. Dive into that, and then Jackson Dart's film too. So that'll all be coming out next week. Those three guys are in in the queue. Gear visuals, you're saying stop, not pumped on the Jalen Milroe take. You were after Jake Heaps. Yeah, I was after Jake Heaps. He was the quarterback before me in my high school. Zachary Tan, thanks for hanging out, man. Tiger fan 24, appreciate you. Wolf HD, what up, man? Think you're a returner. You're a returner. Appreciate you. Just join. What are you working on with regards to the golf swing, mechanics wise? Ooh, there we go. Zach Tan with the go-to question. I got my golf clubs in my swing. So I'm working on my wrist action at the top. This is not meant for I guess YouTube you can see it there. So I bow my wrist like this at the top of the screen, or at the top of the swing, forcing me to flare out and like hook my hands or like throw my hands at impact, trying to hook it more, or like trying to have a flatter wrist at the top so that I can just turn through. That's what I'm working through right now. It's really hard to explain that on a YouTube video. But that's what we're working on. Your mom asks, how do you feel about John Mateer? I am super high on John Mateer. I think he is the most impactful transfer in college football season. No hedge. I think the SEC country is paying a ton of attention to like Lenora Sellers and Garrett Nussmeier and DJ Lagway. Would not surprise me at all if John Mateer is better than all of them. Right now, if I had to project like in the future, I think John Mateer is more of a college quarterback than the NFL quarterback right now, but that dude is a baller. I do really like Garrett Nussmeier. And I hope that LSU can protect him with a better run game this year and then look out because a lot of the flack on Garrett Nussmeier is like, oh, he like, takes too many chances, forces the ball, got to rein in the interceptions. Well, dude, he had no run game. So, like, the whole offense was on his shoulders. So, I think it was kind of like, the nature of the beast. So, I hope that he can get better. Yo, Alan Tang, I remember you, dude. For sure, dude. What's up, man? Good to hear from you. Hope you're well, dude. Hope you're still hanging. I'm totally remember you. Just chatting with some of the Skyline homies this morning. Will, what's Rory at right now? I haven't checked the score. What's he at? Dude, that's what's fascinating. We're gonna find out this week. For those of you golf fans, Rory McIlroy, is he it goes one of two ways. When an athlete gets the monkey off their back, they can go down path A, which is they relax, they soften up, they're not as dialed, they don't stick to their routine as much, and they get a little loose with their game and their game suffers, or they get the monkey off their back, it frees them up, and they unlock a whole level of their game. I think LeBron was door two. When LeBron got the monkey off his back in 2016, which is another great USC story. I got you right there for that. I went to Game 7 in 2016, Cavs Warriors. Stark let me skip a workout because I'm a huge LeBron guy. That's how it's legit. Where was I going with that? Oh, LeBron won the NBA Finals in 2016. LeBron was his best in 2017 and 2018. If Kyrie didn't go off his rocker and they had a better roster, and the Warriors didn't freaking have the best roster in basketball history, that 2017-18 Bron run after he won the title when he got freed up, next level. But you also see athletes go the first path that I was talking about of get the monkey off their back, and then they get a little lackadaisical. You know what I mean? Max, you shouldn't have skipped a workout. Come on, man. Hey, I made it up. We the I guess that's the story. I just said it, but I'm a huge LeBron guy. Had an opportunity, or I spent my stipend check on a nosebleed seat to Game 7 of 2016 NBA Finals. And I said, yo, Sark, any chance I can make up the workout? It was in like the lull of college football. Like right now is like the biggest lull of the – literally right now is the best time to be a college football player. You're after spring ball. School is like minimal. It's finals time. And you have like a 2-week stretch before summer workouts get in full gear. Right now is an absolute blast to be a college football player, at least the schedule when I was there. But like Game 7 was around this time back in 2016. So I made up the workout, but it wasn't me missing a big time thing. I did not have to do extra runs. I missed one workout ever in my college football career. I overslept on a Friday workout again, like in this time frame, and I won't rat him out, but I was dialed. Like I not to be that guy, but like I was a grinder. So the strength staff was not worried about me missing stuff. coaches weren't worried about me missing stuff. But I did miss one in 5 years of college football, and it was like kind of a bullshit workout day, if we're being honest. And don't think the head coach ever found out. The strength coach hooked it up. Not gonna lie. Zach, I appreciate the question. We're nah. That's the idea of the NFL doing a draft lottery like the NBA. I don't think it's as simple as that. I saw that clip that went viral because with basketball, it's way easier. Let me formulate this take. With basketball, there's so many more games where and there's so many more games where the prospects of a team tanking have a greater impact, right? If you realize your team's ass in week 4 in 15 games in, you can tank for 70 games of the year. That's a nightmare for the league. Versus in football, the lifespan for players is so short and the season's more condensed. It's just harder to tank, right? If not for long, NFL. If I'm a guy who I'm on the Carolina Panthers and I just had my big break and I'm a defensive tackle, I don't care if we're not winning at all. I'm still showing up because I want to get a paycheck and I want to make the team next year. The optics in the NBA, because the careers are longer, there's not that urgency that exists in football, where I think it's just harder to tank in football. I don't really think teams do tank. I think you'd have to get more credit with the lottery of like, hey, maybe it's just the bottom 5 teams, not what the NBA is like bottom 8 or 10. I just don't feel like tanking's a huge issue in football. Yeah, there's like teams maybe losing a game at the end of the year, but literally this past year is the perfect example, right? The Patriots what should have had the first pick overall, and they like sneakily won. And so like that's the perfect example of why I don't even think the lottery is necessarily needed, because those are grown men in the NFL that want to get their job next year, but they're not incentivized to tank versus, the NBA player who, you know, he's in year 3. He's like, "Yo, I can shoot the rock. I got another 3 years in the NBA easy for me. I'm good. Let's tank. Let's go. Let's get back on track." I guess the better example for NBA hardos is like if the owner tells the head coach, "We're tanking," and you play all the young guys. Yeah, I don't know. I'm all over the place with that take, but I don't think it's needed as much. I think it'd be like intriguing and fun, and awesome for analysts to like break down, but I don't think it's needed as much. What is interesting, I don't know if you guys saw this, the clip, is how about if the World Series went neutral site? I'm not a baseball guy, but that one's interesting to me, where you treat it like the Super Bowl, where you make it a week-long event. You try to loop in baseball hardos. I know we're going to hate that. You try to loop in the more casual sports fan. You're able to get better media coverage around it because you can plan events and a whole thing around. Hey, the World Series is going to be in Miami. The World Series is going to be in Los Angeles or whatever. Um, it would become more corporate, which would suck. But baseball has some work to do to catch up to the other sports. So I don't think it's the craziest thing. I'll tell you right now, Dane says, Dane, I love this comment. I was talking about this game yesterday with the head coach, one of my best friends, Peyton Pleurer, now the head coach of my high school. Says one of the best sporting events he's ever been to was Curtis First Skyline at the Dome in 2010. Incredible game. Incredible comeback. Shout out Kason Williams putting the team on his back. That you'll like this, Dan. They're putting in I'm voiceovering a highlight montage for the Jumbotron for my high school this fall, and we're including a couple plays from that game that I literally was talking about last year. So it's funny that you said that comment. Baseball is the second most profitable sport. I think they're okay. I did not know that. I feel like interest is not there mainstream relative to where it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. What was the worst you've ever gotten chewed out by a coach? That's a good question. Never got that. It was my high school coach in a game. I threw an interception, absolutely ripped me a new one. But that was a lot. But the most gnarly one was Sark. Sark chewed my ass out. We had 2-minute drill where they like stack the odds against you. So it's like you start at like it's 1st and 20, got to score kind of thing. And it was like it's made for the defense to win. It's like intended for the offense to be in a shitty situation. In like 4 straight downs, we like couldn't get a completion. You know, again, they were like playing prevent defense, couldn't get a completion, and Sark let me absolutely have it. That was not fun. I remember walking off the field feeling absolutely shitty about myself. That was not a fun phase. Thoughts on dumb QB gurus criticizing Tom Brady's throwing video? Wait, that's funny, Patriots Nation 6, because I saw that video on my YouTube for you page, and I was like, that would make for a good YouTube video. I should react to that throwing motion. I have not watched that video. I need to. It's a great reminder. I mentioned this last week on my live. Tom Brady's, I haven't even watched the video, but I do know some of the things that Tom Brady teaches. And it's very intriguing to me because it's totally opposite of how I was taught to play quarterback from day one. I'm not saying he's wrong, but it's very intriguing to me of like how the industry's evolved. 2 examples. Again, this might make for some good content, but literally when I'm in 4th grade and I show up to like a quarterback coaching class or whatever, or teaching session, 2 of the very first coaching points in 2004 were ball high on the shelf and ball over the top. Nowadays, those are not taught. Nowadays, those are wrong. Ball on the shelf is wrong because quarterback gurus think it's more robotic and you should be more in the chest and like stay athletic. And from a ball security standpoint, if it's up here, you know, if a defensive end comes from behind the back, they can knock it out. So that's funny. And then 2, over the top, like Peyton Manning he was my guy growing up. But over the top, like, okay, yes, you get over the line, but you don't throw with any power, right? Or like by throwing over the top, your arm's out of your system. So it's almost like, hey, stay a boxer, stay within your system, stay compact. And it's just interesting to me how the industry's evolved. Oh, and people like the shelf because it used to be, hey, when the ball's on the shelf, you have a quicker release, like here to, you know, out of your hand. But that's kind of been like, you know, that's not really a thing anymore. You know, it's almost like, hey, you look stiff and robotic when the ball's way up there. Go look at my film. In 2013, it was like, oh, Max Brown's got perfect mechanics. I think now if people looked at my mechanics, it'd be like, yo, you look stiff and robotic kind of thing, which insert some joke about me being a statue because I know people love that. But it's funny looking at how the quarterback industry has evolved. Thoughts on Herbert's rocket launcher throwing motion? He's got a great motion. I got no issue with it. I didn't know. Does he have like a unique throwing motion? Can tell Peyton Manning was your guy growing up. That's why I was super cool, Owen, when it's like sad to say now, but like that was the comp for me coming out of high school on all the recruiting sites was Peyton Manning, which was sick when I was coming out. But yeah, I was a Peyton Manning guy. And then as I got older, I used to not like Tom Brady. And as you get older and you're a quarterback yourself and you're in the saddle, I got the utmost respect for everything Tom Brady's career. And then people love the forehead, the Peyton Manning forehead. And I feel like our personalities are like kind of similar. We're like, I don't know, we can joke around and have a good time, but like at least back in the day when I was playing ball, when it was time to lock in, I went serious, maybe too serious, looking back. But yeah, Peyton Manning's the man. He's got 1 million views, so you should collab with him. Lord Jimbo, is that your creator you're talking about? I'll check him out. What else we got? We got some action on YouTube. Appreciate you guys hanging out. What would you say were characteristics of your best and worst offensive coordinators? Throwing mechanics, explaining offensive schemes, QB tips and reminders, defensive run fits, coverage rules, etc. Real quick, the defensive run fits, like that to me is so nuanced for a college quarterback. Yes, it's good to know. Yes, you have to know it as a coach, but as a player, as a quarterback, if you're thinking about defensive run fits, when you're playing in today's football, where a lot of teams are no huddle, to me, that's going too far. I made the comment the other day, and this is a hot take. Someone asked me, what's my hottest take at the quarterback position? I think understanding fronts is overrated for a quarterback. Not saying it's not valuable information, but in the hierarchy list of like what a quarterback's processing in the 5 seconds he has to process, at least at the college level, I very, very rarely, and I was like an X's and O's studious quarterback, like get me in the playbook, let me watch film for 20 hours a week kind of guy. When you're out there looking at fronts, I was not looking at fronts very often at all. Outside of Pitt, Pitt's run game was tied to the fronts. That's a different thing. When I was at Pitt, our run game was tied off of jet sweeps. So I was always looking at the defensive ends. That was a different scheme. That's a topic for a different time. I don't want to lose the non-football hardos. But traits, I would say he was only our quarterback's coach for a few weeks because of all the firings at USC, but Marcus Tuiasosopo was our quarterback coach, and he was a big-time quarterback himself, and he taught quarterback through the lens of like the quarterback being in the saddle. So I can teach you a concept on paper. I can teach you, hey, here's where you go in cover 1, here's where you go in cover 2, here's where you go if the safety rolls down. But it's a whole different ball game when the bullets are flying and you just took a shot under the chin and, hey, I got a big defensive end bearing down my neck on the left. So he would teach the concept like through that lens of like, hey, if you get in trouble, hey, this is where the ball should go in cover 3. But if you get a corner who's like tighter, don't forget about your answer here. Or like in practice, when you're having a live rush on you, he would just coach with that in mind, where it's easy when you're sitting in a chair in a comfy office to be like, oh, the ball should have gone there. Oh man, you gotta get your eyes there. But it's different when you're actually in the saddle. And I think he had a good perspective for that, which I always appreciated. And then I would say the coaches that I think did not teach at a high level were the ones that actually, it's kind of goes hand in hand with that is, one, I think if you didn't play the quarterback position, it's not to say you can't do it, because there's a lot of good there's play callers that do it at a high level. Andy Reid is the perfect example. But there's certain play callers that get so locked in on what should work on paper. The defense is giving me this coverage. I have this play. This play should work. So I'm going to call this play. And why is it not working? And I'm getting pissed off in the booth. And this is crazy. Why did it not work? And they don't have the ability to add a creative element to make the play work. It's almost like, they're not innovative enough to find ways to evolve and adapt mid-game. And they get so stuck in like week 1 type concepts and like, why is it not working? Right? We're getting cover 3. We should have smash all day, And for whatever reason, maybe the corner is savvy, maybe the safety is, watching film himself, and they're not able to overlay creative wrinkles to unlock the offense and unlock that concept, if that makes sense. It's a good question. That was fun. Hell yeah. Who said that? Noah P. Shout out Noah P on YouTube. There we go. Lord Jimbo saying Ryan Day. Ryan Day don't call plays though. Or is that what you're alluding to? Zachary Tan, who's been dialed today on YouTube. Appreciate you, dude. If you have kids, how much have you thought about being a sport parent? Like how to navigate through politics, moving to a better high school, AU team, travel teams, private training, and should you specialize? Zachary Tan is asking the best questions today. I have thought about it. Been married for like 2.5 years. Don't have kids, but God willing, that's in the future. Oh, there's so many ways to go this. Definitely not a fan of specializing at all. I think when I look back on my sports journey, I was a big football, basketball, baseball guy. And I was part of the generation that, I was like the first in my community to leave Little League and go to pony baseball, at least in Washington, because I thought like, hey, for you Seattle Mariner fans, Jay Buhner was my coach, which is awesome. That's going to hit through like a couple people and be like, that's sick. Everyone else is gonna be like, what the heck's going on? But I felt like, hey, as like a 6th grader, it was like, if I want to play big time baseball, I got to go on this travel team. But then I burnt out like 2 years later and it wasn't as fun. And I was a good baseball player, but when I was on that great of a team, I only played first base and third base. I didn't pitch as much. And when you play Little League, not only does it keep it fun, which then as a kid makes you want to work and evolve and like invest more, but I also think there's something to be said about being the best player on your team, you got to compete. You don't want to play with guys that aren't going to make you better. But I look back on that as like playing Little League and pitching, being the best pitcher on the team probably would have served my athletic career better, especially as I got into puberty, rather than being a guy who just played first base and third base and wasn't pitched and wasn't relied upon. And that logic still holds true when I got to Pitt. Guys that go to USC, they might be 4-star recruits, but when they're a backup and they're not counted on by the team, their confidence decreases. They don't got that swagger. They're having to look over their shoulder. No one's ever going to admit that, but they have to subtly look over their shoulder because if I get beat on one rep, I might get benched. That happens at a school like USC because everyone's good. Versus if you take that same backup at USC and you put him at Pitt, where there's no doubt he's the starter and he's walking around feeling more confident about himself and the team needs him to succeed, those guys, I think there's something to be said about having more success. I see it all the time at schools like USC where guys lose confidence. And hey, maybe I was one of those guys. Maybe I could have benefited from going to a mid-tier school where you're counted on, where they have to have you succeed. Maybe your confidence is at a different level. But to answer your question more directly, one thing I will do, or I intend to do if my future kid doesn't revolt, is I want to get, if my kid's a high-level athlete, like middle school, high school, get him with a sports psychologist before he needs it. Get him with a sports psychologist just like you're getting him with a strength coach, because strength coach, you're being proactive, right? You're building your body, right? You're getting more muscular, and it's just part of the process. Do the same with your brain. Train your brain, because what happens is if you wait until you need a sports psychologist, then it becomes a whole thing. Then it becomes, hey, Max is visiting a sports psychologist. Is he okay? Oh, man, is he having anxiety? Oh, I hope he's okay. Versus if that's just part of your process from the jump, if that's just what you do in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, even if you don't need it those years, you can still build foundation, work through tactics, talk to someone, just talking to a third party, but build that process so it's already in place before you need it. So it's not this catastrophic event that when you do need it, because I struggled early on at USC. And then when I saw sports psych, whether this was true or not, like to me internally, it was like this huge deal of like, oh, I'm seeing a sports psych, man, like what's wrong with me kind of thing. And I think our world's come a long way in that, which is amazing. Shout out my wife. She does amazing work in that too. Hidden Opponent, leading student athlete, nonprofit mental health advocacy group. They got a shoe and clothes with Adidas that came out last month. Check them out. But that's where that's where I answer that question. That's a whole podcast episode. Zach Tan. Zach's dialed, man. Zach is MVP of this live. What was your favorite place to get trashed at in Pittsburgh? What was the bar there on campus? It closed down since I was there. Have you always been a naturally good communicator? As I stumble over my words, that's funny. What does best help your communication skills? Just reps, just like anything. I know it's annoying because it's like not some groundbreaking take, but what's helped me the most is, so I remember I used to do like middle school student government stuff, and I was terrified of public speaking on stage, but I felt like I had this like internal driving calling that was like, oh, you need to do this kind of thing. And so those reps early on of like getting over the fear, and don't get me wrong, it's still, I still get nervous public speaking, especially when I have to prepare something. But I look back on those events, and then honestly, just getting interviewed, I was in front of a mic as an 8th grader when it was like, who's going to be the quarterback before me at my high school was a huge deal. Number 1 quarterback in the country, 5-star recruit. So when I was an 8th grader, it was like you could track that like I was going to be the guy that was going to replace him. And so I remember being interviewed as an 8th grader. So you just kind of learn how to talk. And I always prided myself when I did get interviewed of not being robotic. Like I didn't want to just be like a trained robot speaking. Like I wanted to give media members show up. They got a job to do. I want to give them something. I'm not going to be disrespectful. I'm not going to call out coaches, but like that's an opportunity to like show your personality and like connect with them, which is super cool because 2 of the beat writers that covered me at USC, I literally just featured in a video on YouTube that's taken off. USC fans, check it out. It's about one of the most underrated storylines in college football right now is I think how USC has pivoted and they're building their roster and their NIL money is way bigger, way better than it was 2 years ago. They're recruiting high school ranks better than they ever have. So I did a whole like deep dive into that. Check it out. But my point is the beat writers that were covering me as an 18, 19, 20-year-old, I now work with as a 30-year-old, which is kind of cool. But I still think my vocab kind of sucks. You'll notice I say like all the time and I say good and great. I don't got a lot of range outside of that. So I am working on that. Fun little fact. I got a little box with note cards in it that when I come across words or quotes that I want to incorporate or like ingrain in myself, I like write it down, and I'm not dialed with the process, but I'm trying. So there's the answer to the good communicator question. Thank you though. I appreciate it. Coach P told me you're doing the hype video for Skyline football. Yes, sir. You know it. I was just talking about that earlier. You don't got a name on your thing, but someone on YouTube said the Skyline Curtis game in 2010 was one of the best sporting events they ever been to. And I was like, we're featuring that game, or at least the plan is to feature that in the video, which it'll be a good time. Fun fact, I threw an interception in that game. We were getting beat, but I threw the interception. And then our offensive lineman hit the DB who intercepted me. The ball. So we're on the 25. You guys like this. We're on the 25-yard line. I throw an interception. Bad ball. Can't do it. Bad move. It's my sophomore year of high school. State semifinals. Our offensive lineman decks the dude, the DB that picks the ball off. Ball ricochets back into the end zone, or like into the 2-yard line. Our other slot receiver, who was not involved in the play, picked it up, ran it in for a touchdown. So I threw an interception, and we scored on the same play. Kind of cool. What's your opinion on the Iowa Hawkeyes this year? I have not dove into their roster. I got to study up in the coming months. That's what I'm trying to do. June, July, and then August, obviously. Some of those teams that I'm not like up to speed on their beat, I'll dive into. I will say Chris Hassel, if you're an Iowa's Hawkeyes fan, Chris Hassel, big Iowa Hawkeyes guy. I called my first game with Chris ever, Louisiana Tech UAB in 2020. And he told me that this is the best, right? He told me, he posted a piece of content that this is the best Iowa schedule that they've like ever had in terms of just like sheer entertainment and games, which I think they have like USC. They just have a really good schedule. That's not what you asked, but that's where my head goes right away. RD, I think reading regularly has been the best thing for my vocabulary. Dude, you're probably so right, but like, dude, as I get older, I have the hardest time reading because one, podcasts, I can listen to everything, and then audiobooks. Two, what I've started doing is talking. My wife gives me shit, but I've started talking with ChatGPT, like about it, whatever, right? Like I use ChatGPT every single day for content. Let me know if that's interesting. Happy to dive into that more. But also, like, if I hear a subject, like the other day, I don't really know anything about Brexit, like the to go more politics and international affairs with you guys. And I kept hearing it come up. So I had a whole like 10-minute conversation with ChatGPT about Brexit. My point is, I like don't read as much because it's so easy to listen, watch, or just talk nowadays with ChatGPT that it's bad, but it's the reality of where my life's at right now. I probably save money the way instead of AAU ball and private training. Yeah, Zach, my nephew, who's a 4th grader, is like a big hooper, and my brother, who's having that decision of like what to do with his kid, he kind of tells me, man, it's like a nightmare because I feel for the parents out there, because if you don't put your kid in like the travel ball AAU, you have that natural feeling that like, oh, is my kid getting left behind kind of thing. But then it's like, all right, do you want to just dedicate so much travel and all the time to just, driving around the state? Like, is that really what's needed? I think every scenario is different. Like, I looked back and like, I was going to private quarterback trainings as a 7th grader, and I would play AAU basketball in the afternoons and then train at night, or like after the game. Kind of crazy, but I remember having a conversation with my dad as a middle schooler, and he's like, hey, if you want to do this thing, you want to be a 5-star quarterback, you want to go play at USC, or you want to go do this thing, let's fucking do this thing, you know? And even as a sixth, seventh grader, like I knew the deal. Like, let's go. And my dad was great. My dad, you asked how would I handle parenting? My parents were rock stars with handling a 5-star quarterback recruit. They were big time. They let me do my own thing. But they definitely instilled the work ethic in me for sure. But every kid's different. I think you'll know, like I think my dad knew like 5th grade, like when my team's the only team in youth football throwing the ball, I think my dad knew like it's my responsibility or it's his responsibility to like, appropriately push me and channel me to like make the most of the God-given talents that I was given, which I appreciate in him. Fun fact too, you guys will like this. My dad's a big poker player, nothing sketch. I know some people get sketched out by poker and whatnot. But his goal was to make back all the money spent on private quarterback training in poker earnings. And he has done that. I mean, I'm 13 years removed from those days, but that was his goal. I couldn't find a video on your channel covering it. Did you ever try out for the spring league? Arthur, I never did, man. I never did. To me, it was kind of NFL or nothing. And when I was in the process, the AAF was there. And to be honest, I always get weird with this, but like my shoulder I didn't have it in. My shoulder just didn't heal properly. And I always hate, like I'm hemming and hawing right now because I hate blaming my career on an injury because like I had a long ways to go, even if I didn't get injured. But that's also the reality of the situation. I rehabbed for like 15 months, had a tryout for the Commanders and the Steelers, and threw a comeback on the right hash, 20 yards in the Art Rooney Center in Pittsburgh, and was like, I just don't got the mustard on my arm anymore. And then nowadays, like I can't even do like 7-on-7 stuff now, which sucks. Did any of your high school teammates get recruited by Bellevue High School? No. Bellevue freaking cheated, though. I'll stand on business with that. Bellevue was illegally recruiting. Skyline didn't illegally recruit. None of that. Stand on business with that. That's a hot take. That's not a hot take, but that'll piss some people off. But no, never did. Fun story that I heard, and maybe this is the last one before I gotta dip. This is a good story. So Miles Jack, obviously UCLA linebacker, running back, and this is just what I was told. He moved back from Atlanta into greater Seattle area. He was either going to go to Bellevue or Skyline. The story that I heard is he visited Skyline in the spring, and my high school football coach was not at school that day. So him and his mom didn't have anyone to talk to. And he got instead toured around by our high school basketball coach. And our basketball program was not even close to where our football program was at. And he had that afternoon. It went however it went. And then he went to Bellevue. But point being, like he didn't talk to our football coach in our football program is the story that I heard. And went to Bellevue. Bellevue was known for buying apartments for their players to house them right across the street. Skyline wasn't doing that. And sure enough, Miles Jack went to Bellevue instead of Skyline. Can you imagine if Miles Jack went to Skyline? My team would have already beat Bellevue senior year, but we would have been we were nationally ranked. I think my senior year, we were 15th in the country. Imagine adding Miles Jack to as a running back and linebacker. Ooh, baby. That would have been freaking electric. But no, he's a good dude, man. I did a bunch of I haven't talked to him in a decade, but he's a good dude. We did like photo shoots and whatnot together. Nowadays, and there's probably people here that know this better than I do, but Eastside Catholic's a thing, and the whole deal. A private school up there. Anyways, this is fun. 1 p.m. I got to sign off. I'll be back Tuesday at noon. I'm live every Tuesday and Thursday at noon. Appreciate the questions. YouTube was pretty active. Thank you guys for checking that out. Check the long form YouTube videos there. It's linked in TikTok on my stories as well. Came out with a Lee Corso one today. I got Tyler Shuck, Jalen Milrow, Jackson Dart breakdowns coming up. And it's not just X's and O's. I am diving into the X's and O's, but it's more production value than that. Like I'm walking through their story and how it's evolved and how their game has evolved using plays as examples. So check it out. And this is fun. Thanks, guys.